When we come back, getting around Florida without touching the wheel. German automaker Audi using the Sunshine State to show off some pretty cool technology. And Governor Rick Scott, he's going to join us right after the break right here on Squawk Box. Welcome back to Squawk Box. Audi is taking its automated car on the road in the Sunshine State today, where the governor will be catching a ride. Florida Governor Rick Scott and Flip Brabach, head of product management at Audi America, join us right now with more on this. Governor, it's great to see you. Tell me this. When Audi came to you and said, we want to do this, what was your threshold in terms of safety for your decision to say, okay, let's put these vehicles on the road?
Well, Andrew, what we did was, first off, as you know, we'll have 100 million tourists this year. We want more people to come to our state. We want more technology jobs. So in 2012, we passed legislation. We're one of the first 3 states that said you could do this testing on our roads. Because my focus is add more technology jobs. So when when Audi was talking to us, we said, we want you to bring your research here, and so we'll get more, eventually advanced manufacturing jobs here. So it's an exciting day. It's going to be exciting to be on the highway today in the Audi and see how it works.
Now, this is the beginning of sort of autonomous vehicles in your state. Philip, tell us about how this is going to work. You don't have to hold the wheel?
You don't have to hold the wheel, that's right. So the car essentially uses about 20 or so sensors, and it's able to get on the road and essentially process all the information around it. And it's able to make some decisions within that driving environment up to about 40 miles per hour.
And now, one of the things I was reading, inside the car, I think this is a great new technology that could be added to any car right now. It actually looks at you. The camera looks at you and your eyes to see if your eyes are closed, if you had fallen asleep, and after 5 or 10 seconds, it starts beeping and going crazy at you. Is that a technology which is that a technology we could see in vehicles before we ever get to a true autonomous vehicle?
Yeah, I believe so. The first portion of autonomous driving that we see is about 5 years out. And a lot of the technology that we need for this is already there today. Which includes all the sensors that you mentioned, which is why it's so important now to get on the road and actually start testing this in real-world environment.
Philip, I got one more technology question, then I'm going to get back to the governor. What happens if you're wearing sunglasses or even regular glasses? Can it still see if your eyes are closed?
We are working on things that will essentially get to that level. Today, it's mostly focused on the eyes, but we will obviously be evolving that even further.
Right. Brian.
Hey, Philippe, Brian Sullivan here. Question, the technology is amazing, the promise is amazing, but are the insurance companies going to allow this? They seem to be longer term the big stumbling block. If there's a wreck, they need to know who is liable. That's the way the industry works. Where do they stand?
Well, on the insurance companies, what we're doing is we're going to make sure we're the state where you can do the research, and then companies like Audi will work with the insurance industry, and in our Office for Insurance Regulation will work with them. But what we want to do is we want to be the leader on research. We've been the leader on tourism, leader in ports. We want to be the leader in technology now, and that's why I signed that legislation in 2012 to get these jobs here.
Governor, I want to go back to actually the first question I asked. It goes back to the sort of the threshold on safety, and as a state, what you've done to research what Audi and others are doing. I know because I've heard folks from Audi say it before, folks from Google say it before, the one thing they worry about most, God forbid that there is an accident, and what that does to the entire movement of autonomous vehicles. So what has the state done before allowing this, given that there's going to be research effectively being done by humans on the road?
Well, we'll be doing, it'll be through our Florida Department of Transportation. Companies like Audi will work with them to make sure it's safe. They're not taking a lot of risk here. Right now, they have a driver behind the wheel, so they can take control of something. But they'll be doing this incrementally. It's something that, as Philip was saying, this is going to take time over time. Now, I have grandsons, and I can imagine that they would probably get to do this where there's no driver. But my big focus is get more of these technology jobs here. We've added over 600,000 jobs. I want more jobs in Florida.
And in terms of the jobs and Audi in particular, how many jobs are going to come to the state And to the extent that there is an ecosystem around autonomous vehicles over the next 2-3 years, do you see a pull to Florida?
Here's my experience. We're the leader in simulation now in the Orlando area, and by becoming a leader, we got everybody to come down and do business in that area, and it eventually added a lot of jobs. I look at this the same way. They'll start with the research and technology here, and then they'll add more and more and more. Companies will say, this is the place to find the talent. And my goal is hopefully we'll have the advanced manufacturing here also.
Right. Hey, Governor, I want to throw a completely different question out at you, but it really goes to the issue of companies going and competing at the different state level for business. You've done very well competing for that business. We now have a lot of companies that have decided to leave the country. Forget about competing on the state level. They're competing on the country level, and I'm talking specifically about inversions. The president last week says while these inversions are legal, he says they are wrong. Where do you stand?
Here's the way I look at it. I'm competing with Texas and other states, and I've got to make my structure for companies to be successful better here than other places. Lower taxes, less regulation. That's what I've done. Our country has to do the same thing. We can't have higher corporate tax rates in the rest of the world or more regulation and expect companies to prosper here. They're not going to. So as a country, we've got to compete globally. We've got to say we've got to reduce our corporate taxes. We've got to reduce our regulation. We've got to be the best place for a company to build businesses, just like I'm doing here. And that's why we've added 600,000 jobs in 3.5 years.
Right. Governor, we want to thank you. Philip, we want to thank you. Governor, are you going to hold on to the wheel when you're on this? I mean, are you a little nervous at all?
I'm not nervous at all. It's going to be a lot of fun.
How long a drive are you going on exactly? Is this like a 15-minute thing, a half-hour thing, a 10-minute thing? What are we?
I think it's about
15 minutes.
Yeah, 15 minutes. It's gonna be fun. You guys should come down and do this with us.
Governor, I want you to test it. Close your eyes for 5 to 10 seconds. See what happens.
We'll see if it works.
I'm
sure it's going to work.
Appreciate it.
All right. See you.
Pleasure.
Thanks.